What are restrictive covenants? Have you ever wondered how certain neighborhoods maintain their character and exclusivity? One major factor is something called restrictive covenants. These are legally binding agreements found in property deeds or neighborhood contracts. They limit how property can be used or who can live there. In the context of urban housing, especially in the United States during the early to mid-20th century, restrictive covenants were often used to enforce racial segregation. They prohibited the sale or rental of homes to specific racial or ethnic groups. These agreements were typically made among homeowners or developers to keep neighborhoods racially homogeneous. From an urban anthropology perspective, restrictive covenants serve as a tool of social control. They shape patterns of racial segregation and influence how cities are organized. These covenants reflected how legal and economic systems were used to maintain racial boundaries and hierarchies in urban areas. Historically, after legal decisions made it illegal for the government to enforce racial zoning, private actors took over. Real estate developers, homeowner associations, and property owners adopted restrictive covenants to continue racial exclusion. They often targeted African Americans, Asian Americans, Latinos, Native Americans, Jews, and other minority groups. This meant that these groups were restricted from accessing housing in certain neighborhoods. In urban renewal contexts like Detroit, restrictive covenants played a significant role in spatial segregation. They limited minority populations to specific neighborhoods while excluding them from others. This segregation had a lasting impact on access to resources, economic opportunities, and political power. The effects of these covenants can still be seen today in patterns of racial segregation and economic disparity in many American cities. Practically speaking, restrictive covenants were used to maintain property values and neighborhood stability as perceived by the dominant racial group. They were often justified by real estate interests and community associations. This form of housing discrimination shaped urban development and social relations in profound ways. Although the United States Supreme Court ruled in 1940 that courts could not enforce racial restrictive covenants, their influence had already taken root. They deeply affected urban residential patterns and contributed to ongoing racial inequality. From an anthropological viewpoint, restrictive covenants illustrate how cultural, legal, and economic systems intersect to create and sustain racialized urban spaces.